Now in today's video, we're going to take a look at a solution that's going to automate many of the chores that you have outside of your home. We're talking about cutting grass. We're talking about leaf blowing, cutting the edge of your grass. And guess what? Even if you'd like, snow blowing. Do I have your attention? Well, in today's video, we're taking a look at the Yarbo autonomous robot. And this can't be called a lawnmower. It can't be called a leaf blower. It can't be called an edger. And it can't be called a snow blower. Because guess what? It does it all. So in today's video, we're going to take a look at this solution, the Yarbo autonomous robot. We're going to see all the features, all the capabilities, and I guarantee you that you will be amazed by how versatile, how powerful, and also how easy this robot is to use. Let's get right to it. Now, you heard that right. We're taking a look at the Yarbo autonomous robot. And this is one of the most exciting technologies that we've had on the channel quite some time. And I've been throwing some teasers out there, just sharing my experience with the robot. And this is literally an all-season system because it could cover, again, all of the different seasons that you may be experiencing in your state, from summer to fall, winter, and even as you start getting into spring, there's something that you can use the Yarbo for. Now, this solution has several modules that basically connect to a core platform that enable all these capabilities. It basically has the ability to tow. No joke. 3,500 pounds towing capacity. And you're probably asking me, how big is this thing? It also has the ability to carry things for you. So if you are working in your property and you'd like to be able to bring things with you, this robot has the ability to follow you, bring heavy equipment or heavy material with you so that you can actually work in the location that you're working in. It also has a lawnmower module. And we're going to talk about the lawnmower module because that's what I've been using lately because we're right now in that weather in Chicago. And the lawnmower module is going to automate, guess what? Yeah, cutting your grass. And it does an amazing job doing that. It also has a leaf blower solution. And that leaf blower solution in the fall, if you have leaves, is going to take care of all the leaves that may be falling around your property and it's going to blow them away. Now, the one that I'm super excited about, and I wish I had this robot in time for, is snow blowing. And being able to have a dual solution that not only does it have the actual, solution that actually sucks up in the snow and throws it out, but it also has a shovel, like a plow. So if you think about those neighbors of yours that may have, let's say, a plow system, and you see them passing by and you just wish you had that, well, you would have it with this solution. Literally, you can have your snow blown or you could have your snow plowed. That's what we're talking about. This is pretty amazing when it comes to all the capabilities it has. So it is, again, not a lawnmower, it's not a snow blower, it's not a leaf blower, but it all is just all those things. That's why we call it a all-season autonomous solution. Now, when you see the Yarbo in action, and I have to tell you, when my neighbors see the Yarbo in action, cars slow down and people just look at it and they wonder what it is. They ask questions because it's a very striking device. It's very modern looking and it's also very tank-like. And this solution also has the ability, because of the construction, to be able to basically take some very significant slopes, 35-degree slopes. It also has a 4-hour time to charge, which is pretty fast given the capacity and how much it can cover in one single charge. Now, the first thing I thought about when I saw this, and I really worried about it because to mind immediately what came to mind was, this is a tank, is what type of obstacle avoidance does it have? Well, we're going to share with you all the specs and all the things that it can do, but rest assured, it basically can identify cars, it can identify children, it can identify pets, and it will basically stop. It could identify any objects that get in the way. So you will have the peace of mind that while this robot is running, that it's not going to damage your property or injure your children or your pet. The other thing is that when I was looking at this, the second thing that came to mind was, what happens if someone wants to take this? And the system also has an anti-theft tracking system. And I thought that brings enormous peace of mind. Now, as I'm looking at this robot and I'm saying, wow, this thing has a lot of capabilities and possibility, what else can it do? Given the sensors, given the GPS, given all the technology that it has, it also has the ability not just to do the things that we described, but it also has a sentry mode. And I want you to just think about that for a second. Sentry mode. And the sentry mode is exactly what I'm talking about. It can actually patrol, no joke, your property. And because of the battery, because of how far it can go, it could patrol a very long and spacious property as well. And basically it has almost like this RoboCop voice that will basically, let you know that an intruder has been detected. It is pretty cool, and it's kind of freaky, but I'm really geeked out, as you can see, based on that tech. Now, the way it keeps track of where it's at is using this RTK-GPS navigation system. So it is using several technologies to be able to understand where it's at. And obviously it's using GPS and all those things. So what it's going to require is this will require a RTK antenna be mounted on your property with clear view to the sun, or to the sky actually, so that you can actually take advantage of the advanced positioning of the system. But there are no wires, no stakes, nothing that you have to do. All you do is you mount this antenna. It does get connected to your Wi-Fi, and because it's also how you update the system, right? And it basically helps you navigate. And it's very reliable, at least in our experience, as to knowing where it's at and completing the jobs that it needs to automatically. So those are the kind of the core things that you have to think about, or the things that I would highlight were important to me when I was thinking about this solution as a platform. Now, we've been using the lawnmower, and the lawnmower, I just got to share with this with you. We're not talking about 1,000 square feet. No, we're talking about 6.2 acres. I want you to think about that for a second. 6.2 acres. So if you have a large property and you despise the riding lawnmower and spending hours cutting the grass, this is going to be for you. I have family and friends that have property in Michigan, and basically I know they go on the weekends just to cut the grass. This guy could do it for you automatically because it could be scheduled. It will do it unattended. It will basically run like clockwork, cut your grass, and in the event that it runs out of power, it will go back, it will charge. Once it recharges, it goes out to complete the job, and it knows exactly where it ended up. And there's no bagging, there's nothing you have to do, because the actual cutting process is mulching. So this is something that you can run really frequently. And as I said, the towing capacity on this is pretty impressive. 3,500 pounds of towing capacity, which means that it could pull something rather easily for you if you needed something like that to be pulled. Now, the tow time, or the mow time, is 210 minutes. So if you just think about that, right? You're talking about several hours of actual nonstop cutting the grass. And you can imagine how much property that means. Now, the actual cutting width of the actual platform is 20 inches. 20 inches wide, and as I mentioned, it could take some pretty steep slopes, 35-degree slopes. And we're talking about being able to cut anywhere from 1.5 to 4 inches when it comes to your grass. Now, to do this, it basically has, per disc, it has 5 blades. So this thing has this whirling thing that is taking care of really mulching and making fine cuts of your grass so that it doesn't really suffocate the grass. Now, we talked about the sensors. Check this out. Obstacle detection, the avoidance technology. It has not one, right, but it has several cameras. It has a binocular camera. It has 2 monocular cameras. It has 7 ultrasonic radars, and it has 3 bumper sensors. So basically it means that this thing is surrounded by sensors that allow it to see on all sides. So that is going to give you, again, that peace of mind that when it's navigating, you're not going to have a problem when it's doing its thing on its own. Now, it does have a smart app, which you'll see as we run that. And it also even comes with a remote control, very similar to that you'd play on your Xbox, right? It actually looks like an Xbox remote if you'd like to use it. The robot also has this very interesting feature that is called Follow Me. Now, I could use my phone or the remote to control it and direct it, and oh, by the way, it could also play music. So if you wanted just roaming your property and just playing music because you like to hear music, it can do that too because it has a built-in speaker. But anyways, as you're using it, you can have multiple ways of interaction. It could follow you to a place, you can direct it on your phone, or you can use the remote control. So a lot of different capabilities. And we've been using it to cut our grass. It's been doing extremely well. We've been doing it repeatedly. And the cool thing about it is as it's going out to cut the grass, it will never, or you have the option to not have it cut your grass in the same direction. And I'm one of those guys that cut my grass this way once. I cut my grass this way the second time, and then I cut my grass this way the third time. So it will do that automatically. And you can actually see on the app as it's doing that. Now, the other option that we have, and unfortunately, I don't have snow to actually share this with you. But it does have a snowblower, and the snowblower basically has snow treads. So I have the standard treads on it right now, but the snowblower treads are no joke treads, right? They have like these metal, I don't want to call them spikes, but they have something that protrudes that basically comes out. It's not going to damage your driveway. It's not going to damage your asphalt, to make sure that it has good grip. It then also has a snow blade, or what I would call a snow plow. So it has a plow that you can connect to it, where if you don't want the snow blower to function, it could just plow. So the plow is very similar to you just shoveling. Think about it. There are times that you take out the snow blower when you got a lot of snow, and then there are times that you just take out the shovel to shovel things out. It will shovel your driveway. No joke. It will shovel your sidewalk. No joke. It will shovel your neighbor's driveway and sidewalk. You'd be a great neighbor by doing that. So it does all these things. And then the one question that I had in my mind as I was thinking about the solution is like, well, what happens if you have a gravel driveway? You don't have cement. You don't have the actual asphalt. Guess what? No issues there either, because you can actually rise the actual snow plow, the actual blower to a level where it doesn't impede or have a problem with your gravel driveway. Lots of flexibility. So I'll tell you this before we actually take a look at the platform. Now that we've gone through all the specs, what has been my experience with it? I think that this is an amazing product, the platform. I think that if you have a large property, this is going to be great. If you have a semi-large property, it's also going to be great. But really, if you have a lot of grass, if you have a large parcel, if you have a lot of driveway that you have to clean out, this is going to be a great solution because of the power and because of also the fact that this thing doesn't require anything physical to plug in. It basically has it's almost like a Qi charger that it docks into and it starts charging on its own. The other thing, and this was a question that I had for the folks from Yarbo, is that I was really concerned about what do we do in Chicago? Chicago, we get cold. We know what cold is like. We sometimes can get colder than many of the coldest places in the world, and with the wind chill factor. So I was concerned about how well is this going to do. One of the things that I had done is I tested what I was told by the Yarbo team. And they said that when the Yarbo is not being used and it's in its docking station, and basically you're leaving it overnight and it gets really cold, the robot heats itself. Think about that. The robot will heat itself. And I said, heats itself? He says, yes, the battery that has on board will basically run the robot so that the robot stays warm, and that way the battery doesn't fail and the other components that are inside of it won't fail. And I just thought, wow, this is kind of crazy. So I literally unplugged it from the charger and left it in we had a cold snap, and I wanted to see how much power it would use to maintain its temperature, or if it was going to use any power at all to maintain its temperature, because if it's on standby, it's not going to do anything. And wouldn't you know, it actually kept itself warm. It also then used up some of the battery in order to do so. So this is a worry-free solution. You're not going to park it in your garage. You're going to leave it outside. And when you see our Yarbo, this is not a review where I just did an unboxing and say, hey, let's run the Yarbo. You'll see that mine has some weather to it because I actually wanted to kick the tires. I wanted to see how well this thing did. And I didn't want to do a review where I had it for 24 hours and I said, hey, this is a great thing. But I've been running this for weeks. I wanted to see what the experience would be like. It's gotten rain, it got snowed on, but light snow because we haven't had big snow when it came in. It's had a lot of environmental exposure, and you'll be able to see it. Even some of the stickers that came on it are curling up because of the outdoor exposure. And it's been in direct sunlight too, because you're talking about cold is the major, I would say, damages batteries, but heat does as well, right? Too much heat can damage a battery if things get too hot. Not an issue with this robot. So let's take a look at it. I want to show you some footage, some of the things that I did cutting my grass, how the robot worked. It's very, very quiet. And, we're going to have some other videos, right? As we get more seasons, I'm going to come back because I have all these attachments. And it's just not going to make any sense to have a snowplow during the summer or a snowblower during the summer. But as we start getting colder, we're going to go ahead and do that. So, but again, this is a solution that I would highly recommend given the versatility and given all the things it can do. So let's take a closer look at it and we'll see why I'm so excited and why you should be excited about a solution like this. Now, you've seen the Yarbo doing a really great job when it came to cutting the grass and working through our lawn. The module right here, the lawnmower module, is removable. So you have two locking mechanisms here, and then this is the handle that you'd pull up to be able to remove it. It does have sensors everywhere. So it has cameras on the sides right here. And as you can see, my Yarbo is pretty weathered. So this is not an unboxing review, but this is actually a review where we've been using this guy, and he's been outside. He's been getting rain, not snow, because we got him late in the season, or towards the end. And it also has some in the front here, it has some other sensors. So there's a lot of stuff going on here that's helping it navigate your home or your yard. The other thing I appreciate is what's going on right here. So you have some nice rubber material going all the way around, because it's inevitable that it will bump into certain things. Like if I were to look at my fence as it's going through, not significantly, not really hard, but I've noticed as it's going by, it does a nice job of navigating. But having this protection around it as it's moving around, I think is a peace of mind for me as well. Now you'll notice over here in the front, it does have some antennas, or actually this is the main, what they refer to as the core. This core has two antennas, and these are the antennas that are working with the antenna that I have on top of my home that is positioning. So you notice an antenna here, you have an antenna here, an antenna here. All these work in concert. So you have Bluetooth, you also have GPS, you have RTK, which is the technology that they're using. And the robot is then triangulating and figuring out where it is as it's moving around. Now the treads themselves, there's two types of treads that you can have in the robot. You do have, these are the standard ones that I'm using right now for the summer, but you could switch these out for snow treads, and those snow treads have spikes as well. You'll notice that more cameras here and on each side, and it also has additional cameras over here on the back. We'll go ahead and take a look at the back so you can see what's going on here as well. Now on this side right here, what you see is an area where you can actually have a towing hitch. So it has enough towing capacity. I think it was like 3,500 pounds. I've been seeing some changes on their website where they're making some changes, but I thought it was around that amount when I first initially saw it. I think I've seen it now rated for around 500 pounds, but you have a towing hitch that you can actually put here and actually use this to tow. Now, even if you're not looking to, let's say, tow, let's say, for example, like a car, because 3,500 pounds, that's a lot, you can, I would say, tow materials that you're going to be using to work on your property. So that's pretty cool, especially because it has that follow me technology. So with the follow me, it's literally locks on you, and as you walk around, this robot is going to walk with you. So I really like that feature. Now for those of you who are curious and understanding kind of like the mechanics that are going on, this is an all-weather device. And the cool thing about this is when I spoke to the team from Yarbo about what happens when it gets really cold, the actual robot has the ability to keep itself warm. So it is using part of the power from the battery to actually keep itself warm if the temperature drops too low. So this is not going to be something that you'll have to worry about in the winter, because it's designed to be outdoors in the winter with the actual snowblower module. It will basically prevent itself from freezing, and the actual heating cycle that it goes through is also going to protect the battery. So I think that that's a really cool technology option there. You'll notice here, there's a lot of electronics going on. All this is weather safe. And then this is the actual primary connection that is used when you're connecting the different modules, in addition to some of the, I would say, hardware that actually allows this to lock into place. Now the charging pad for the robot is pretty straightforward. It is contactless. So the robot will drive into this area right here. And basically, once it situates itself, and you notice how there's some lines and things like this, the actual charging pad, it's almost like a giant Qi charger. Once it gets to that lightning bolt area and it parks itself, it's going to start charging itself automatically, which also I think is fantastic because you don't have to worry about plugging anything in. As we come over here to the snowblower also pretty cool. Has in the front, has right there a camera. And then you'll notice on the sides, everything that's going on. It's surprisingly, it's a little bit smaller. So let's just put it like this so you can see it. It's a little bit smaller, it seems, than the actual lawnmower solution over there. Has fewer, it looks like it has fewer cameras too. So you don't have much going on here except in the front. And then over there, you obviously have the size and then what's going on in the front as well. The other thing that you have here is this remote control. No joke. Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo Switch, whatever you want to call it, standard remote control. You could use this to actually control the robot and drive it around when it comes to mapping, and that's something that's really important, right, when you're doing that. So pretty cool that it has this. And then there's so much documentation. I haven't seen a product on the market that is as well documented as this solution is. It has guides, videos, step by step. The process is long, but the process is easy. And when I say long, is that there's things that you have to do to set this up. Like putting the robot together, all you have to do is put the antennas on and put the smart assist module in the back. That's it. But the other things that you have to do, like prep the area, put your antenna on. Let me show you my antenna for a second. All right, so look all the way up there. That is the antenna. I have it all the way on top where what's called the data center. And that is, maintaining a GPS connection, right? So that the robot knows exactly where it's at and what's going on. Now, the robot itself has antennas too, right? So between that and what's going on with the robot, it gets extremely precise. All right, guys, so now we're seeing the Yarbo in action, and we're cutting our grass. And the process of setting the robot to cut the grass is pretty straightforward. And as you can see, the robot works or moves very quickly as it's cutting grass. It does slow down when it's getting to the corner. So here what it's doing is it's backing up and just positioning itself so they can do another pass. And it's basically going in a zigzag direction. And as I mentioned during the specs, it basically alternates its path on how it's cutting our grass because it remembers it. And you literally see on the app, you can actually see the path that the robot is taking. So while it's not going all the way to the corner of the grass, don't worry, because what it's doing is it's doing the entire center area first based on its logic and its AI, and then it's going to come across and it's going to get all my corners. And what I like about it is I do see my lines, and I'm also seeing that there's an overlapping taking place of the grass. Now, the blades can be raised, they can be lowered to whichever height you want. And like I said, this thing does really well. You'll notice at the very top of my lawn there, I have a area that has stone or some rocks, decorative rocks, and then it also has an edge. No issues with that. I also have sprinklers, no issues with my sprinkler heads. And also I haven't had any issues with it really digging in anywhere and destroying any of my grass. It's just been doing what it needs to do. I'd say that if there is a negative, is the passerbys. So many people will stop by and then just pause, park, and just watch it go and say, what is that? And are just amazed that it's cutting. And you can see here that it's actually overlapping. So as it's cutting, I don't have loose strands, like a bad haircut. That's not taking place. And you can see how it stopped right there. It did at the end of this cut come back and clean up the area that it's right now purposely leaving behind. But what it's just going to do is it's going to continue to move back and forth, and then it'll come back and get that area that you see right there. It has that little light going on, because it's letting people know that it's working. And like I said, it has all that obstacle avoidance technology that is going to protect your kids, your pets, anything that you love or any of your private property will be protected. Very, very quiet too. So there's really, unlike lawnmowers that you hear the combustible engine, that combustion engine just making noise, you don't hear anything except this whine. It goes, moves forward and back. And again, that's all there is to it. So you can see it running. It runs well, it cuts well. I would say one of the things I'll also mention is defining the path takes some time. So you have to come in and run the robot around the perimeter and so that it knows where it's going to cut, and then define it as an area to cut. But that's pretty much it. No wires, no stakes, nothing to do, but just walk the perimeter with your robot and then set it to cut. And you can see how nice my lines are. So guys, that wraps up our review, or at least our mower review of the Yarbo autonomous robot. It's a spectacular platform, excited about what it can do for you and what it's doing for me, and I hope you consider this product. See you in the next video.